Hey everybody, my name is Nick and I am reviewing season 3, let's be honest, this is really like season 2.5 of Squid Game. I reviewed season 2, a lot of people got pretty mad at me because I said season 2 was pretty bad. Now that season 3's come out, I feel pretty vindicated that I was correct, that season 2 was bad. Season 3, is it worse? I don't know, but it's also pretty bad. I know a lot of people are gonna get upset. So I'm inviting a lot of criticism, a lot of anger for people who enjoyed Squid Game and think it's brilliant, think it's amazing, think it's wonderful. You can like whatever you want. I don't care. It's just a perspective to get you to think about things in a different way. And you can think about it and think, that's an interesting way to view something in a way that I don't. With that disclaimer out of the way, I'm sure a lot of you are still gonna yell at me in the comments, and that's okay too. So let's talk about why I was right and why you're wrong. Right off the bat, we learn in this season, as I knew in the last season, that this is really one season that was dragged out into 2. The things that are happening could have been condensed and put into one season. It would not have been hard. There's a lot of fat that you could trim from this show. And I don't just mean in like cutting out scenes, I mean in like progressing a scene along in half the time that it could have. I will tell you a secret, and this might get me some criticism, but I watched this show at 1.25 speed. And most of the time when I was watching it at 1.25 speed, I forgot that I was watching it at 1.25 speed. It watched like a normal show when you watch it at 1.25 speed. And so what does that tell you? That tells you that the pacing of this show could have been 1.25 times faster, and you wouldn't have lost anything. You lose nothing from the experience. So it's very frustrating to watch a show that feels like it's intentionally dragging itself out just so it can fill a certain number of episodes that are probably in a contract that somebody signed and made a lot of money on. So what are the main problems that I see with the script? The main problem with the script is that it relies on the stupidity of the characters to progress the plot. If the characters don't behave in a way that is stupid, then things cannot occur in the show. The only way that the plot moves forward is if the characters do things that are so dumb that you are yelling at the screen and saying, why are you doing that? What is wrong with you? The most obvious example that everybody's citing online now is how the cop is so incompetent that he's unable to find the island. This cop is so clearly incompetent, it's painful. Now, that said, of course you can have incompetent characters. And the cop, there's obviously some kind of message trying to be conveyed to the audience by making the cop really ineffectual. We'll get into what these messages are later, but that's okay. You know, you can have one character that's kind of stupid, that's forgivable. But then we have all the other characters that are so stupid in this show. All of the players constantly do things that are really dumb. Okay, again, we say, okay, this is the point of the show. We're trying to show that these people are like not very intelligent. That's why they join the game. So they do these dumb things that get themselves killed. That's kind of the point of the show. Okay, fine. Another group of people that's stupid in the show that we have to watch. Now, what about the guards that decide? These guards, these organ selling guard guys that have set up this whole racket, this whole ingenious way of dissecting people and selling their organs on the black market for extra money to like supplement their income. And these dummies decide they're gonna trust guard number 11, who has been betraying them the whole time. They're gonna invite her into the room where the doctor is and be like, yeah, no, it's cool, she can come in. We gotta trust each other, right? A bunch of people who are doing something that is so reliant on them being shrewd and not trusting people for them to get away with it. They're just like, nah, let her in. And she immediately betrays them, as like obviously she would. Why did they think that was gonna work out? That's just too stupid. It's every character doing stupid things. Now, that might be the point. I think it is the point. But it is very frustrating to watch when you as the audience member always feel like you're one step ahead of this show and you can understand what's going to happen and there's no stakes. You know, every time in the show I was able to predict what the next thing that would happen was because I knew that it was reliable that the characters were going to behave in a stupid way. The ending of the show. Very obviously, when they're on the last tower, I knew that 456 was gonna forget to press the button, he was gonna kill the guy, and then, oh no, he's gonna have to kill himself. this happens, I'm able to predict the ending of this show before it happens. As a viewer, that's not a satisfying experience. What you need to do as a writer and a creator is you need to be one step ahead of your audience. You need to do something to make them think, oh, wow, I predicted it was going to happen this way, and then this extra obstacle comes in the way. So for example, how much better would that ending have been if, just very simply, 456 is trying to hit the button. He realizes that the button is there. He's not behaving stupidly. He's aware of this fact, but the other guy is fighting with him and so enraged that they keep, he's unable to press the button, they keep whatever, and then he accidentally pushes him off before he's able to press the button. Same exact ending, but there's more tension there because we see that the character is aware of the same thing that we're aware of, is worrying about the same thing that we're aware of. We're able to live in the moment of the show a little bit more because we know, oh no, he's got to press the button. We're worried about him doing it. But if we know, oh no, he's got to press the button, he doesn't know, then all we see is how dumb this guy's acting. Now, the criticism of my anger about people being too stupid that I'm definitely going to hear is that this is the point of the show. The point of the show is that these characters are archetypes. They are not intelligent. They don't even represent real people. They just represent ideas in society. And so the point of this show is to show how stupid people are and how like bad humanity is, whatever, how ineffectual cops are, how politics is bad, how somebody who's virtuous can get so wrapped up in their virtue that they end up doing stupid things, how people are greedy and they do stupid things. Okay, fine. That's probably true. That's almost definitely true. I think the creator of this show really wants to make a show that is frustrating because everybody's so stupid to like kind of make a social commentary, right? And the real interesting part to me is how the VIPs are mirrored as the viewer. Now, this is an interesting idea. And so as somebody here who's watching the show and who's frustrated and who's like, oh, why didn't he press the button? He's so stupid. That turns me into the VIP sitting back, watching, commenting on the show, right? And so it's kind of turning a mirror around at you and being like, you are a bloodlust, idiot, jerk who is engaging in this like violence fantasy, power fantasy. And it's very clear what he's doing too, because there's a part in the show where the VIPs participate in the game, right? They wear the Squid Game suits and they participate in the game and they're like, oh my God, this is so fun, this is so cool. This, I think, is a direct criticism of how after the first season of Squid Game came out, there were all these reality shows where real people like did Squid Game. And I think that the creator kind of thought this is really sick. Like our society sees this kind of commentary about how violence and all this stuff is really bad in our society. And then their response is to go out and be like, I want to do it too. I want to pretend like I'm in a dangerous situation in kind of simulated violence and cruelty for fun. And that's what the VIPs do. And that's what we as audience members have actually done by creating Squid Game reality shows. Mr. Beast Squid Game version. This is a very interesting and valid criticism of this idea. That said, that doesn't make the show good. You can have this kind of meta text, right? But the actual text also should be good too. You can make an interesting meta commentary while also making your show interesting and challenging and fun, more fun to watch. I think if you like the kind of sneakiness and the cheekiness of the director to kind of create a whole show that mocks its audience, then I think that that's interesting. I understand why you would be attracted to that. Me personally, I don't really want to watch media like that. I don't want to spend my time engaging with something where the point is to make fun of me and talk about how horrible society is and how nihilistic everything is. That's just not what I'm here for these days. I don't care for the nihilism, the air of superiority, and I didn't enjoy the experience of watching the show. You know, they're showing reality. I won't try and argue that, like, you know, the cops being ineffectual, politics being bad, rich people being frustrating and controlling things and being really gross and pretty dumb. Like, that is a reality that is occurring in the world, but I don't want to live and dwell on the cruelty and stupidity that I see around me every day. You know, I can watch the news. I can turn on the news and watch and be like, oh yeah, rich people are horrible and they're destroying the planet. Yeah, cool, fun. I don't need to also engage in a show that is about that. good art should reveal something new to me that maybe I kind of know, but I want to experience new ideas when I engage in art. I don't want to just re-experience the world as I see it, me personally, and kind of have this depressing reality that I exist in all the time, just like pounded into my skull and being like, doesn't the world suck? Doesn't the world suck? Aren't you stupid? Yeah, you're stupid. Everybody's stupid. Everything sucks. Just like I was able to figure out the ending plot-wise of little things that were happening. Like, just as I was able to watch something and it never took it beyond the surface level of being able to see what was going to happen. For example, the ending where, I was able to see, oh, he's not going to press the button. He doesn't press the button. He kills the guy before the button gets pressed. And then he has to kill himself and the baby lives. Okay, so I'm able to see that plot 10 steps ahead of the show as it plays out. I'm also able to see these themes 10 steps ahead of what the show creators are doing. As soon as I start watching the show and the voting comes up, I'm able to see these themes of like, yeah, voting doesn't do anything. Voting is a way to control us. Where is the rest of this commentary? What deeper level are we going to get into? I think pieces of art need to take us beyond what we see and what we understand in the world around us. Now, maybe for some people, this is a new novel idea. I'm not saying that you're not intelligent. If that's interesting to you and if you like that, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying for me, I don't need to experience more media like that. I've experienced enough and I want something different when I watch TV. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I'm sure that people will disagree, but that's just where I'm at in terms of the things I want to watch. And I think a lot of people are there too, because if you watch online, I think a lot of people are kind of over this format. I think it's a lot different, the response to this show, than it was in season 1. And I think that's because we know what we're getting now. And it's not new. And I think people want something fresher. They want fresher ideas. They want fresher plots. That's what art should be. And I think if Squid Game comes back, it shouldn't, but if it does, it really needs to solve this problem of being more than just a nihilistic show. Now, doesn't mean it has to have a happy ending, but we need more than just straight nihilism. So if you agree, if you disagree, let me know in the comments, and let me know what I should review next.